Endings are important. They leave the very last impression with all things considered. They're the culmination of all things that led up to that point having made its way to a logical conclusion. A good ending will tighten its loose ends, complete its characters' arcs, and leave us satisfied. A good ending will wrap everything up and will make sense in terms of what the rest of the runtime was leading towards. It will share a similar tone as to what came prior, and it will hopefully make for something memorable because, see, endings are not only important, but they're also memorable. Good or bad, they're the last thing that audiences get a glimpse of, and so they're often the first thing that we remember. Because of this, particularly bad endings stand out as something that can be so frustrating. And that's what I want to get at today. This isn't a video that's going to be all about praising film and all that stuff like I usually do. Today, I'm going to be on a bit of a rant and I'm going to talk about shit. I'm going to talk about some movies that kind of piss me off because of their terrible ending. This is my top 5 endings that ruined the film. In particular, endings that ruined an otherwise good film. That's an important distinction there. Starting off with 10 Cloverfield Lane. So 10 Cloverfield Lane sets itself up with this really clever kind of like intelligent, ambiguous story where you're not quite sure what's going to happen. So the character that John Goodman plays is playing this pretty off-kiltered, pretty unstable guy who has kidnapped some people under the guise that he believes that there is an alien invasion going on. He brings them into his basement, his crazy kind of end-of-the-world apocalyptic bunker thing, with the intention of staying there, basically, until, I guess, things blow over or whatever. And we as an audience are left there to decide, like, do we believe this guy? Is he right? Is he wrong? Like, because this does, after all, share the name of Cloverfield. You know, that movie that came out where there was a giant alien monster thing? So it's not that crazy to think that maybe there are aliens in this. But then again, everything in this film is so grounded and you're like, nah, this dude's just a lunatic. He has kidnapped these people. He's keeping them there against their will as he desperately tries to do anything he can to convince them. And so if you're looking at it that way, you know, this could be a situation where he is lying just to get them to conform. Maybe he doesn't even believe himself that there are aliens. He's just a crazy fucking bastard who is lying to these people that he has kidnapped. And you don't know. And for 99% of the movie, you don't know. And you just watch them as the tensions rise, as, you know, everything comes to a boiling point. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't fully know that anything's going to happen, but you have a pretty good feeling that John Goodman's character is going to snap. You know, you don't know when, you don't know how, but you know he's going to snap. Something is going to set him off. And it's dangerous for the two characters that he has kidnapped. You don't quite know how their stories are going to end, and it's really intense in that way. I absolutely love the setup of this movie, and 99% of the movie, it's actually brilliantly done. It's very well made, and I love how grounded it feels. It's kind of, it feels like a small movie. It's like an indie movie. And yeah, I just love the kind of shifting power dynamic between the characters. As you watch them in this, essentially what's a bottle episode, just interact with each other. You kind of see their relationship grow. You see the tensions rise. You know that something's going to go wrong. You're just not quite sure how or why. You're not sure what's going to happen, and everything is kind of at unease. You're like, it's just that little bit uncomfortable. And you know that John Goodman's character is some kind of, you know, he's unstable. You know that something's going to go wrong. But up until the ending, everything is left ambiguous. We're left wondering why. And the questions just linger. Like, we're not quite force-fed all the answers. The movie doesn't want us seemingly to know all the answers. It wants us to wonder. It wants us to think about the themes that are going on. Because in the end, this isn't a movie about aliens. This isn't a movie about an apocalypse. This isn't a sci-fi movie, really. This is a dark thriller about this guy who has captured these people. And it's just a very slow burn, very well put together, intense ride with these characters. It's very personal. It's very dialogue driven. It's very fun to watch these interactions, and I love it so much. That is until last like fucking 5-10 minutes of this movie that drives me insane. So basically, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character escapes from the bunker. She gets out, and I love it because she realizes that nothing's going on. She's like, I can breathe normally, because he'd lied earlier about like it would be toxic to go outside with the aliens and all that shit. She gets outside, she can breathe normally, things look relatively normal, and you're like, shit, he was lying the whole time. This movie is ingenious. Oh my god. And even me as an audience member bought into this guy's bullshit. Or at least maybe he believed it. That's the thing at this point. You're not sure if he believes it or not, or if he's just crazy, if he's lying, or it's ingenious. There's so many ways to look at it from. But then it keeps going. A couple of minutes after, for a few more minutes, and and that's when this movie gets just fucking so stupid. There is a spaceship. All of a sudden, there's a spaceship. Yay, aliens were real the whole time. John Goodman's character was right the whole time. There's no ambiguity to this at all. We know that he was 100% completely right, and now we're just left wondering, sick. Aliens exist in the last 5 minutes of this movie. It felt like the movie was not confident enough to just stick to what it had. It had to end it with some big, grandiose bullshit. It had to be like, nah, we're a sci-fi movie. This shares the Cloverfield name, so we have to have like this big alien monster spaceship, whatever the fuck it is at the end. But no, it was so much more mature than that. It was so much more well done than that. And then it just dumps itself down right at the end. And to make matters worse, our protagonist, the woman played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, now becomes a fucking superhero. While before she was cunning and she could get herself out of situations, like she would have to work things out. She could make a makeshift toxic suit thing, and she could lie her way out with John Goodman's character, and she could do all these things to get the advantage and all this stuff. But when she did this stuff, it was grounded, it was realistic. We understood how and why she was doing what she was doing, and we were there for her. It was a compelling character because she was smart, she was clever, and it's like awesome. This is one of those movies where it's like, yeah, I can get behind that. I see what you're doing and why you're doing it. The motivations all run through, and it's ingenious, and I love it. But then at the end, she takes down a fucking spaceship in like 5 minutes. She like blows it up and like, and she survives and everything, and it's all, yeah, it's so fucking cool, isn't it? No, it's just dumb. So you're telling me that I need to believe that she took 2 hours or however long the movie goes for. In John Goodman's basement, she took 2 hours to take just some guy down. It took her that long to do that. But then in the last 5 minutes, after it took her that long to do that, now it takes 5 minutes to destroy an alien spaceship. Like, it's bullshit. It's the dumbest and most infuriating thing apart from some of the other ones on this list, because it was such a clever movie. It was such a more nuanced, slow, small movie. And then it just turns into a giant alien fucking battle thing at the end, and it's bizarre, it's jarring. I get that this is a Cloverfield movie, but it changes the name for a reason. This isn't called Cloverfield 2, it's called 10 Cloverfield Lane, suggesting that this is an anthology that could have gone in a much different direction, and it did for 99% of the movie, and then it just fucks everything up right at the end. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Now You See Me. Oh god, okay, so Now You See Me has to be one of the dumbest movies ever. It has to be one of the dumbest movies that is also shot really well and is also, like, it's basically a pretty good movie, but the logic behind its narrative is just mind-blowing, to be honest. Like, it's just, they're so stupid. So Now You See Me is a very niche film about magicians being badasses. They are magicians who can take their magical magician skills and they rob banks with it. And it's just kind of dumb and fun, but like, it's cool. It's cool. You like seeing Dave Franco flip the cards and like at people and stuff. You like seeing Woody Harrelson do whatever Woody Harrelson did in this movie. It's cool, it's fun. They're getting the team back together, even though I don't think they've met, and they're gonna rob some banks. It's Ocean's 11 with magic. I do have one problem with this movie even before the ending, which is that this is supposed to be set in reality. They're supposed to be magicians. They're not supposed to be wizards. Like, the thing about magicians is that everything is meant to be an illusion. There's meant to be some logical way as to how they're achieving what they're achieving. But throughout the movie, you can see that they rely on CG to like pull off some of these magic tricks and stuff. It's not real. They're not really doing magic. They're not doing like magician tricks, apart from a few like card tricks or whatever they do throughout the movie. Like, everything else is bullshit. It's like there's this weird part where what's her name, Isla Fisher's in like this fish tank thing with piranhas and stuff, and then she gets eaten, but then she doesn't, and there's like a flying curtain or something. It's just fake. It's bullshit. And it's annoying because like this could have been a cooler movie if they actually did real like magician tricks that could have been actually logical real things. It could have been a fun twist, but instead they're like, nah, don't worry about it. Magicians can do anything. They're magic. They're wizards. There's no logic to it. But that's beside the point. The point that I'm going to get at is the ending, which is the most ridiculous movie thing ever. And I've been laughing about it ever since I saw it for the first time. It's been like, what, a decade? I still find this movie's ending so funny. It's so infuriatingly stupid. So yeah, this movie is about them being con artists, robbing banks and all that kind of stuff. They're taking advantage of all that stuff. And apart from a few things that don't make that much sense, like people dying in car explosions, but then it turns out that they didn't die and they faked their death, and they're there again all of a sudden and everyone's fine and it's a cool, fun movie. Apart from some things that are a bit dumb and stuff like that, it mostly makes sense apart from also them being wizards. So again, I guess if I'm actually looking at it, I'm actually saying, oh yeah, some of it makes sense, except for most of it. But apart from that, I kind of dig this movie a little bit. I kind of like it. It's kind of fun. You know, there's some ridiculous stuff, like they have this giant mirror that tricks like these grown men into thinking that the bank is empty. Like they didn't check, they didn't like walk in further, they just looked and it looked empty, but they didn't like, it's a mirror, like, it doesn't matter. The point is, there are some dumb things in here, but it's kind of fun. But there is so much more to unpack here. So the thing is, the thing that really annoys me is Mark Ruffalo's character. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So when we're introduced to Mark Ruffalo's character, he's right on the tail of the magicians. He's after them. He's this hotshot detective guy. He's going to figure everything out. He's the antagonist. He's the guy that's going to wreck our magical fun. And throughout the movie, we see as he trails them, we see him try to catch them. And he's even visibly angry at the fact that he can't. He gets confused about things. He's like, oh my God, how did they do this? And he wonders to himself. You can see him getting angry when he's in a room by himself, frustrated that he can't catch these magicians. At the end of the movie, though, it's revealed that the detective character was actually secretly also a magician all along, and that he was actually in on all of this, and this was all part of his grand plan, and he knew everything about this. And it makes no sense, because throughout the movie, yeah, you see him by himself, and he's getting angry because he can't catch them. Like, who is he pretending for? Us alone, that's all. And it makes no sense. Like, I can see him pretending to get mad in front of the other cops or whatever, because, like, he's got to keep up the charade of being a cop. He's being a detective, he's playing the part and whatever, but it's fake. But no, he does it when he's by himself. He's not pretending for anybody, and he's just a cop. He's a detective guy, logically, throughout the movie. And then at the end, they change their mind and they're like, nah, he's a magical boy all along. And it makes no sense. And I love it. I kind of love it. What? So this dude who was doing this thing for revenge or something, because something happened with his dad and Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine or something, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I don't quite remember. I haven't watched this movie in a while, but it still makes no sense because he is the like legit top guy of the FBI. Like he built a career out of this. For, I don't know, how long do you have to do that to be like one of the top guys in the FBI? Like you probably have to work for like 30 years in this job, starting off being a pencil pusher and all this bullshit. He probably did all this, got through all the rankings to make his career, a tangible, better kind of ranking and all that kind of stuff. That sentence didn't make much sense, but you get what I mean. And then like what? He's a magician. It's good. It's good shit. Kingsman, The Secret Service. Look, this ending doesn't quite ruin the entire film for me. I think that Kingsman is very well done. I really love the character of Eggsy and the character development that he goes through. And I think that this is a very, very fun movie with some of my favorite action scenes of all time, like that church shootout scene that happens halfway through the movie. And yeah, it's just like a fun spy movie where we see this guy with a heart of gold make it into this spy James Bond type of facility. And he's becoming a secret agent himself, and it's kind of like this coming of age thing, I guess. It's very fun, and it's actually more clever than it seems like it would be. And this ending that ruins the film doesn't undo what the rest of the film has built to. Okay, I still think it's quite good. I don't think that it just wrecks everything prior. But then the ending happens, and I'm like, oh, fucking hell, you really had to go there? And again, it doesn't quite wreck it, but it's like, by the end of the movie, Eggsy has saved the day. He's the king of the super secret spy people. He proves himself to be a hero. He saved the world. The bad guy lost. The good guy won. and the guy gets the girl. Nearing the end of the movie, before he has saved the day, one of the women who is like captured, it's like the princess or whatever, she's like, if you save the day, you fuck me in the ass, is basically what she says.
If you save the world, we can do it in the asshole.
I'll be right back.
Good luck.
And I'm like, okay, that was a bit odd, but cool. I get it. It's a James Bond reference. You know, James Bond sleeps with women and stuff. That's the kind of thing that happens in these movies. And I understand the joke. I get it. He sleeps with women and stuff. Cool. But yeah, I guess that joke kind of works. Whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Then he goes on to save the day and like, you know, it's a good movie and everything. So I'm like, cool. I forgot about that one line that they said randomly. But then at the end of the movie, like the final last shots of this movie, I just want to cut it. I just want to like edit it myself somehow and re-release it to the world in the way that it's meant to be or something. At the end of the movie, it's left with Eggsy with an ass in front of him as he's offered to have anal sex with this woman that he just saved. And it's really out of character for the film. Like, it doesn't feel like it really belongs here. Like, this is no fucking Austin Powers or whatever. It's kind of jarring and it's weird and I hate it and it's very annoying. It leaves the film off with a very disingenuous and unflattering kind of idea behind it. Like, the rest of the movie was quite clean cut. It was violent, but it wasn't gross. It was tastefully done. Up until then, Kingsman is not a movie about dick jokes and stuff. It's not that kind of movie. It doesn't have that kind of humor. It's got kind of like British sensibility to it. But then the film ends with this awkward, degrading anal sex joke. Like, anal sex, ha ha ha, what a good joke. But not only is it that they joke about anal sex and it's like, can we not do that in this movie where it feels out of place? Like, this is a classy feeling movie, sort of, and then it does that and it's jarring. But not only does it do that, not only does it joke about it, it like shows her ass and it's like, why are you doing that? Like, I'm not one to be like, I'm not like offended that there's an ass on screen or whatever. I'm not like, this is just the worst thing that I've ever seen in my life. And I hate Kingsman and it's the worst. But this fucking last shot is infuriatingly annoying. It's just like, why did you have to end it with some stupid, immature fucking anal sex joke? What are you doing, movie? What are you doing? You're better than this. You know? Kingsman is better than that, and it's annoying that it does it. It screws up the very last moment of the film, which up until then, I very much loved. It's a very unfunny joke, and it's unfortunately a very memorable ending to me. Every time I think about Kingsman, I love Kingsman, and then I'm like, oh, but the stupid fucking anal sex joke at the end. Why? Why'd you do that? It just knocks it down a peg, you know? It just makes it that little bit worse. It's a shit joke and a shit way to end your movie. The Last Exorcism. The criminal part about this is that I actually like this movie a lot. I think this movie is ingenious right up until that very end. Pretty much like every other movie that I've talked about. So the movie sets up this priest guy, he's the protagonist, as a guy who is being challenged with his faith. He's not quite sure if he still believes anymore. He's not quite sure what to believe, but he's doing what he can. He wants to have that faith. He wants to believe, but there's not much that you can do about that kind of thing. If you lose your faith, I imagine it's hard to get it back. I'm not one of having faith or whatever. I wish I was. That's a story for another day though. But the thing about this movie though is that it explores this idea of losing one's faith. And it explores this idea of placebos as well, which may sound a bit weird from sentence to sentence there, but let me explain. So the priest is an exorcist. That's his job. That's what he's been going around doing. He is helping people. And whether or not you believe in these demons or whether or not you believe in an afterlife or the spiritual stuff or anything, that's irrelevant. And that's something that I think is ingenious about this movie. Every other possession movie or ghost movie or whatever, it's like, yep, there are ghosts, there are demons, whatever. I love The Conjuring. It's one of my favorite movies, but it's not ambiguous as to whether demons are real or not. They straight up are in this universe. But in The Last Exorcism here, it's actually left ambiguous. You don't have to believe in the demons, even within the movie, to like it, because everything is shot in this way where you could buy into this girl who is being possessed as just being kind of fucked up. Like, she moves her body in some ways that are quite unbelievable, but if you can look past that, everything else about this movie sets it up as to, though, that it could just be a mental thing going on. She could have like a mental disability, or she could just be very you know, troubled in some sort of way. And the thing is that the priest in this movie actually does help the people who believe that the exorcisms are doing anything, because they believe that the exorcisms are doing things. Whereas he is losing faith, so he doesn't believe in this stuff anymore. He doesn't believe in his own exorcisms. He thinks that he's just making stuff up and whatever. He doesn't believe in this stuff anymore, but because they believe in it, he still helps them. Because if it is a mental thing where they just think that there's a demon but nothing supernatural is going on, well, his exorcism is gonna help the way that they're thinking about it being a demon. You know, like logically in their minds, an exorcism is gonna solve the problem. And so he's still helping people even though that's not what he believes anymore. I think that that's ingenious. I think that that's awesome. And me as an audience member watching this movie, I'm like, I don't know if she's possessed or not. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. That's not the point. And the movie cleverly explores religion, but doesn't force you into one side or the other. It's not like this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing. It's not like there is or there isn't religion. It shows different sides. It shows different characters that believe in different things. And it's awesome. But you saw this coming. Then of course, the end of the movie, of course, decides that, no, we can't have this clever kind of nuanced theme to it. No, it can't not give you a fucking scary jump scare thing at the end. No, it can't not go bombastic and all this bullshit at the end. It has to. It has to have some scary thing. Otherwise, the audiences will think it's, you know, the stupid people watching the movie will think that this was just a boring movie and a waste of time. Because, you know, audiences are idiots. And it frustrates me to no end. I'll tell you this much. Like, the thing about this movie is what happens in the end is that basically, yeah, like 10 Cloverfield Lane, it's proven that yes, the girl was possessed the whole time and there definitely is a demon. It tells you straight up, yes, there's definitely a demon. That's the case. This is a supernatural movie. Prior to that, it could have been, it could have not been. And it towed the line between what was and wasn't, you know, what could have been. And it didn't quite make up its mind one way or the other about what it wanted you to think. It presented things evenly. And then at the end, it ends with like this fucking witch demon seance thing and whatever. And the main guy dies, I think, or something like that. And it ends with a jump scare. And it's like, you didn't have to do that. It was so much more clever before you did that. But I could just feel it coming. I could feel it coming while watching the movie.
So I'm coming day and night. I mean, it's terrific, right?
Because I was like, wow, this is really original. This is very different from what I've seen from these types of movies before, because it was up until that point. As I said, every other possession movie, it's like, you got to buy into the demons. That's a thing when it comes to possession movies, of course. The demons have to be there, but this movie found a way around that. It found a way to come off as more realistic, more grounded, and it found a way to have different interpretations. And then it just fucks everything up by confirming, by being like, no, this was a demon. This was a demon. What are you talking about? Yes, this is a supernatural possession movie. Of course it is. And I knew it was going to go this way. I was hoping it wouldn't. I was dreading it happening. And I knew it was going to happen because they weren't going to end this like scary horror movie without your stupid scary jump scare, because that's the thing. That's in trend. Of course that's what they were going to do. I'm just so fucking annoyed because I just wish, like, I don't know, I wish a better director, or like, no, maybe it wasn't the director. Maybe it was studio interference. I just wish somebody, whoever it was that made this decision, I wish somebody else was in that position, you know, where they just ended things 10 minutes earlier or whatever, and they didn't confirm anything supernatural. I hate that they confirm the supernatural. It's so annoying. Everything in this list is so annoying, but that's very annoying. And now, the pique de resistance. I don't know how to say that. The one movie ending that maybe makes me the most angry for some reason, even though I don't even feel that strongly about the rest of the movie, to be honest. I think it's solid, but I don't love it as much as everybody else does. But it is Wonder Woman. So throughout the main runtime of this movie, I thought that it was fine, good even. I kind of like it. It's kind of your general superhuman type of superhero thing, you know. But it's got some original stuff going for it, you know, like, the kind of World War I setting and stuff is something we we haven't seen before. We've only seen the World War II thing like once with Captain America, and Wonder Woman is a character that everyone was kind of excited to see brought to screen. Like, it's cool. It's a good adaptation, and I like it. I'm into it. But something in particular that I really liked about it was that it actually had some guts to kind of show its character being a bit naive in some ways. Like, it showed her being a bit unsure about things. And the movie overall through this is about getting through your past struggles and to adapt to a real threat. Rather than just believing in everything that you're told, it's kind of about looking into things yourself and starting to see what is really going on, and starting to see that not everything and everyone is perfect. It's starting to not believe in Santa Claus anymore, but believe in some other type of logical way of thinking. It's not believing that there's some demon that makes everything bad in your life. It's about understanding that luck is a thing. It's about understanding that human nature is a thing, that things can go wrong, that things are not just fresh cut, simple bullshit that everything is good and bad, black and white. There's actually some interesting points made in this movie about morals and about humanity. It's perhaps a warning of being told lies and the manipulation of that. That's one way of reading it, but I'm not sure. No, but throughout the movie, Diana believes that there is a villain who is involved in everything that's going on, and they're the one that is driving the plot, that they're 100% without a doubt the person to blame, basically. And this person it's a god. He's the god of war named Ares, and he's basically like this legend that she'd been told about since she was a kid. She's always believed in this character. She's always been thinking that this is the person to blame. This is the person that does all wrong. In her mind, at this point, it's very simple. It's very obvious that this is the guy to blame. And once she takes care of this guy, once she takes him down, everything will be better. The world war will end. Human conflict will end. She will fix everything. This is what she believes. But this idea is actually questioned throughout the movie, and we see Diana in the runtime discovering that there doesn't always have to be a logical reason for everything. Seeing that sometimes bad things happen, and sometimes people are just bad, and there doesn't have to be a reason, and there doesn't have to be a clear-cut way to fix it. It's just a fact about life that you kind of have to accept. Some people are bad. Some bad things happen, and that's just kind of how things are. And even a superhero can't fix the world. Even a superhero can't fix humanity. There isn't always a big, bad, evil monster that's there to wreck everything. And there isn't always a clear enemy. And I think that that's so important. And we see this when Diana questions whether or not the people deserve what's going on, whether or not we deserve war and violence and all this kind of stuff. Maybe humans deserve better. Like, she needs to just get rid of this evil to fix everything because they deserve better. As Steve Trevor literally tells her that
they can stop fighting now. Why are they still fighting?
That's because maybe it's them. Maybe people aren't always good. Ares or no Ares.
No, it has to be him. It cannot be them.
Diana, people.
She was right. My mother was right. She said the world of men do not deserve you. They don't deserve our help.
It's not about deserve. It's not. Maybe we don't. But it's not about that. It's about what you believe. You don't think I wish I could tell you that it was one bad guy to blame? It's not. We're all to blame.
And his whole point here being that it is not one clear evil in the world, that not everything is just black and white. It's more complicated than that. It's so much more complex. Not everybody is just one, good or bad. There's more nuance to it than that. And that man as a whole is broken. Man is to blame for war, not Ares, not some magical fucking god to blame. Man is the one that is doing this to itself. And it's a really important lesson for the character to learn. It's really important that she learns that, people are just bad sometimes, and that, things can't be fixed all the time, that she can't just fix every problem with brute strength by beating somebody. I also think that it's important for a hero to learn that they can be wrong sometimes, that they can be naive about a thing. She was led to believe one thing, and this movie could have been about her growth, about her accepting that, no, that's not really how it is, that it's more complex than that, and that it's different from how she thought. And I think that that's really clever. Though, I will say that this is like the one woman superhero who has her own movie, and it would have been kind of a bad look to have the point be that the woman doesn't know what she's talking about. That I can see how that would have been kind of damaging. That probably wouldn't have been the best way to go about it. But I feel like there would have been some strike in between what they really did. So what they really end up doing is that instead of Diana just being wrong about this one thing, which would have been okay, she could have been wrong about this one thing, because everything else that she's doing is cool. She's a strong hero. She's proving that women can be a strong hero and all this stuff. And, you know, it's a really good character and all this stuff. But then the movie really wrecks its own message, because at the end, as soon as we've accepted that maybe man is to blame, maybe man is the thing that is bad about the world, well, of course not. There comes a generic CGI giant monster man that is Ares, and he's some guy that she knew and whatever. It's the dude from Harry Potter who's also the werewolf. It's kind of funny how that's kind of a similar... Doesn't matter though. The point is, the movie wrecks its entire message by being like, oh, you thought that maybe Diana was wrong? You thought that maybe man is bad and that war is more complicated than just having one bad guy influence everything? Well, nope. That's exactly what's going on. There is just this fucking one bad guy who's to blame, and he's the one that's making war happen and whatever. It's his fault, and it's up to Wonder Woman to stop him. Yay, she's gonna stop the war just because she's gonna beat this one guy. It's a cartoon. It's silly. It's just... It set itself up to do something so much better than that, and it's infuriating that it got so dumbed down like this. And not only did it get dumbed down in terms of the narrative and the meaning behind it, but it also shows us, yeah, just a generic bullshit CGI guy that like we've seen in every other movie. This movie was going for something different, and now it's showing us the same shit. It's another big climactic final fucking battle that's just boring as two superhumans fight and don't really get hurt until one of them does and they die and whatever. She defeats him and yay, it's a happy ending. It's the end of whatever. I don't know, it's really annoying to me that they ended it this way. Man isn't to blame. It was some evil guy pulling the strings all along. Because of course, they needed to have the big stupid battle. It's a superhero movie, and again, like the Last Exorcism, which was a horror movie, and they couldn't have gone without having the final jump scare. In a superhero movie, they couldn't possibly go without having the final battle. There's something that really irks me about this movie, in that it brought up a really good message, and it actually started to make me think about things in a different way. It was actually really effective and it did a really good job of it. And then it backtracks and it just becomes every other bad superhero movie, or every other average superhero movie, or just every other superhero movie. Because every single one of them ends like this. And whether they're good or bad, there's always that final battle. And this one was going for something more mature, and it was proving that, you know, the superhero genre can be more. And I still think it can be, and I think it is in a lot of ways. But this final battle stuff, I think, is something that we have to start. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with a final battle inherently, but I think that there are other ways that you can do it. And I think that more movies should try those ways. Rather than having an invaluable lesson about life and being right and wrong, yeah, nah, fuck that. There was just a giant evil thing, and that's all. That's all, I guess. Yay, simplistic. It completely undercuts the message, and that's what's so annoying about it. The film as a whole, really, it undercuts the entire film. And, I don't know, it completely cheapens literally every one of Diana's lessons as well. She learns some vital stuff, and it undercuts that, and it undercuts Trevor's point, and it just screws up everything that had happened prior, really. It just makes it annoying. I just want to cut off that ending like I was saying with those other movies. It's a fantastic, well, I won't go that far. It's a good film, it's a solid film, and then the ending just monumentally fucks it. Just so badly. It becomes just mush now. Rather than being a solid movie, now it doesn't know what it wants to say. It's saying multiple different things. Now the message is unclear. Now it's just another superhero movie, rather than being something better, rather than being something more. It takes away from itself, it takes away from its overall tone, it just makes itself so much worse, and I hate the ending of Wonder Woman so much, oh my god. For a movie that was trying to break barriers, it sure leaned heavily into the same fucking thing that all of these movies always do. Alright, so yeah, that was the endings that ruined the film for me. I get real mad about some of this stuff sometimes, and yeah, So I hope you enjoyed, and let me know what you think some really shitty endings are to some otherwise solid films. Because that's what it's about. It's not just a bad ending that's attached to the rest of a bad movie and it's like, yeah, whatever, who cares? It's more infuriating if it's a good movie up until that point. That's the whole point. So thank you for watching, and do the things like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff. And yeah, I'm sorry this video was so long. To myself, because I'm going to have to edit this. Ugh. I like editing, but anyway. Goodbye. I'll see you next week. See me next week. See me next week.